everyone, welcome to this live. The reason why we are coming live today is because there has been a very interesting development in Maharashtra politics. Shiv Sena MLA Pratap Sarnaik, who has been under the scanner of the Enforcement Directorate for the last few months, said that the party should team up with the BJP once again to save its leaders from being harassed by the central agencies. In a letter to Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray, Sarnaik has said that former alliance partners must patch up before it is too late, especially for the many upcoming corporate elections, including those of Mumbai and Thane. Now, Pratap Sarnaik, who is a legislator from Thane constituency in the state assembly, said that though the BJP and Shiv Sena are not allies anymore, their leaders have good relations with each other and that they should make a use of this. In his letter, which reached the Chief Minister's office on June 10th, Sarnaik also said that it is better to join hands with Prime Minister Modi once again, as Shiv Sainiks feel that it would save the Sena leaders from problems. Several properties belonging to Sarnaik have already been raided by the Enforcement Directorate last year in connection with a money laundering case. Now, Vihang Sarnaik, the legislator's son, was also questioned by the agency. Shiv Sena back then had also accused the central government of targeting the legislator. Now, the big question here is, what is going to happen after his letter? Will his letter be taken seriously by the Shiv Sena Supremo, by the Shiv Sena party? Because this doesn't come in isolation. There has also been a very interesting development on that front. Earlier, when Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray was in Delhi to meet with the Prime Minister on the Maratha reservation issue, he had sought a separate time for himself to meet the Prime Minister and discuss some issues. While what exactly they discussed is not out yet, but the meeting, the private meeting between Uddhav Thackeray and Prime Minister Narendra Modi is being keenly watched in the Maharashtra politics. Will this change anything in Maharashtra politics is the question today. And joining me live is our managing editor, Mr. Sujit Nair. Sujit, as I said, what do you think? What is going to happen with after this letter? Because especially there has been a precedence. There has been an incident where Uddhav Thackeray met with Prime Minister Modi in a private meeting in his residence. And now this letter. What do you think? Are these just rumors or is it a possibility?
Aarti, before I come to the letter, let me first take you through the actual way, what's happening, the actual process of politics currently. Now, earlier on, a lot of things could be predicted, could be debated, discussed, purely because somewhere down the line, there is a concept of strategy. So you could assume what strategy that somebody is trying to, a party, a political party or a politician, is envisaging, and therefore predict the strategy and therefore predict what is going to happen. Okay, so earlier on it was strategic based. Most of the political decisions were based on strategy. Now there is a new concept. You have strategy and you have circumstances. Now, what do we mean by that? Mukul Roy joining Bharatiya Janata Party in TMC is not strategy, it's circumstance. Okay, Mukul Roy joining TMC back again is not strategy, it is circumstance. Okay, so a lot of political moves today are based on circumstances. Now, what happens when it is based on circumstances? When it is based on circumstances, there are no logic. There are no logic. I am troubled by central agency, so I will change my alliance, or I am not troubled by central agency, so I am sticking with where I am sticking. That is also a reason for decision making. Now, this is what I would like to say, part one. So, a lot of discussion that we do, or a lot of other people do, okay, this is based on strategic thinking. Circumstantial thinking, we don't know what is happening inside. So, circumstantial thinking are completely different. We can base circumstantial factors to what we say based on whatever we feel and whatever we know about what is happening. Okay, so that's my point number one. Now let's keep that aside. Let's talk about point number two and come back to your question. See, for Shiv Sena today to leave the current MP Maharashtra Vikas Party and go to Bharatiya Janata Party, from a strategic perspective, I repeat, from a strategic perspective, it is not a good idea. Why? Because today Maharashtra is doing well. Uddhav Thackeray's popularity is quite on the high. People appreciate his leadership. People are appreciating his chief ministerial tenure. They are appreciating whatever he has done, especially he's done for the COVID and the way the Mumbai model came up and the way even Maharashtra he tackled COVID. So to that extent, people appreciate him. People appreciate the fact that he comes on television. He would come on television during the time of crisis every week and talk to people. He would tell people what the truth is. A lot of Maharashtrians appreciate it. So what really happens is currently him as a chief minister and the Mahavikas Aghadi as a party is doing fairly. Now, why would one want to shake it? Why would one want to break this party and go out? Okay. Now, that's the first. Most of the things that we saw, I will come to the chief minister meeting the prime minister part of it, but most of the things that you saw where Patole came and said we want to go alone or we also want to be prime chief minister and somebody else said, you see, all these are a very normal thing, especially for people who know Maharashtra politics. You see, when NCP and NCP and Congress, my apologies, NCP and Congress were working together. They too had the same problem. The home minister would get along with the chief minister, the deputy chief minister wouldn't get along with the chief minister. Prithviraj Chauhan and RR never got along. Okay, so there were a lot of problems between them also. They also have rumors every now and then. The party will break, they will break, they're going alone, they're going to do that. MLAs are going to so on and so forth. All this is not new to Maharashtra politics. Number one, all this is not new to also the way if I may say Pawar Sharad Pawar handles the coalition. This is one of his strategy of constantly having bickering happening all over, so that then that gives him the control of the party in totality. So I am not very surprised with this. This doesn't. I am not surprised at all. So that's number two. Now, let me get to point number three. Point number three is Uddhav Thackeray, Prime Minister Narendra Modi. See, in that particular meeting, he had taken a Mr. Uh, 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 Ajit Pawar. Okay, in that, not that I'm not talking about the private meeting, I'm talking about the collective meeting that they had. He had taken Mr. Ajit Pawar along. He had taken Mr. Thorat along. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Thorat, na? It is Balasaheb Thorat who went with him or Ashok Chavan?
Ashok Chavan.
Ashok Chavan, my apologies. Okay, so he had taken Mr. Ashok Chavan. What does that mean? He had taken a senior representative of Congress, he had taken a senior representative of NCP. So that was, so his agenda was very clear. Now he had a meeting outside the ring. He had a small meeting. I don't think it should be taken in as some strategy to break away or go out of Congress, go out of Mahavikas Aghadi and all of that. I don't think it should be taken in that line. So this is what I feel about the entire situation. Now let's talk about the letter. A MLA writes a letter to his chief, okay, the chief of the party, the president of the party, saying that we are troubled by central agencies, therefore we should change our political alliance. See how it sounds? Okay, I am troubled by the central agencies, therefore we should change our alliance from one political alliance to another political alliance. Does it even make sense? Okay, is it right if you look at it from a political perspective? Alliances are not made because an MLA is inconvenienced. A political alliance is not made because an MLA is inconvenienced or on those lines. A political alliance is made because there is a strategic way forward for both the party and the state. For that particular political party, it is a strategic way forward, and for the state, it is a political way forward. And Mahavikas Aghadi was a political way forward for keeping BJP away from the politics of Maharashtra. So that was the alliance. That was the reason that was the reason why this was formed. You can't break it because a couple of MLAs feel that central agencies are troubling them. So I don't know. I think strategically speaking, purely coming back to my point, strategically speaking, I don't think Mahavikas Aghadi will have a problem. Strategically speaking, I don't think Shiv Sena will jump to Bharatiya Janata Party. Strategically speaking, I don't think that even Congress will want to go out and stand on its own and all that. I will tell you why would Congress want to go out and stand on its own, but that's not. I don't think it's going to happen. So I think my answer to this is strategically speaking, I think this alliance will still remain. Circumstantially speaking, I don't know, Arti. This is my answer.
All right. Just as we talk about circumstantially, maybe there could be an alliance between Shiv Sena and BJP. Assuming that Shiv Sena moves in that way, what do you think will be the future of MVA? What will happen to MVA? And of course, we also have to see whether the Chief Minister will still be with the Shiv Sena, or whether then BJP also had its own problem with the Chief Ministerial post. It said that Devendra Fadnavis should be made the Chief Minister and not Uddhav Thackeray or anyone from Shiv Sena. They refused to concede the Chief Ministerial post to Shiv Sena. So assuming if this moves forward, what will happen to the Chief Ministerial post according to you?
See, I don't think, like I said, I don't think this alliance is going to really happen, because if Shiv Sena concedes its chief ministerialship and gives it to Bharatiya Janata Party, it is going to be a huge blow to Shiv Sena's image, the tiger image of Shiv Sena. It is going to be a huge blow. End of the day, everybody is going to say, "Dekho, Shiv Sena dar gaya BJP se," and here they offered the chief ministership to BJP in a platter. So I don't think that is going to happen. Now, if they are not they are not given the chief, that is Bharatiya Janata Party, who has 105 seats in Maharashtra, are not given the chief ministerialship, and a party which 50 odd seats gets to be the chief minister, then it's only, I mean, it's an easy guess. It's an easy guess. It will never be a comfortable relationship. What is happening in Bihar? Do you see the relationship in Bihar between Nitish and the Bharatiya Janata Party, the Bihar Bharatiya Janata Party? Because Bihar Bharatiya Janata Party has more seats than Nitish. So the fact remains that this kind of relationship will not last. So the long and short of it is, why is Mahavikas Aghadi lasting? Is because nobody has absolute majority and all that. Nobody has major seats and all that. It is 58, 54, 44. So so it's kind of more or less same. So, 4 seat here, 4 seat there wouldn't matter, because there was a point in time, I think in 2009, where NCP had more seats than Congress, but still there was a Congress chief minister. Okay, so those few seats, 10 seats, 8 seats here and there doesn't matter. But 50 seats, 60 seats more, and you make the other person the chief minister, is definitely going to have impact not only on the government, but it will also have impact on the party. You think Bharatiya Janata Party inner team, their rank and file is going to keep quiet, saying that hamare paas 105 seat hai and the Shiv Sena man is the chief minister. See, you have to also understand, party also has internal issues, internal uprisings and internal protests. So these people are not, the internal party is not going to keep quiet about it. Now, so to my thing, to sum it up, I think it's a hypothetical question. I still believe that at this stage, it will not be an advisable thing, strategically speaking. Again, I underline this 10 times. Strategically speaking, I don't think it will be an advisable thing for Uddhav Thackeray to go and join Bharatiya Janata Party. And I don't think if he is thinking strategically, he will.
But then, if we look at the news reports, the BJP top leadership, especially Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has always kept a cordial relationship with Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray, despite their parties not being in alliance anymore. If you see, he spoke to Uddhav Thackeray over a call when the second wave was happening. He also praised him for the approach that he took to handle the COVID-19 in the state, and so on and so forth. He also spoke to him when Uddhav Thackeray's wife was turned out positive for COVID-19. So these are the cordial relationships that were maintained by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, despite the fact that the state BJP unit has been going hammer and tong against the Shiv Sena party since they broke off their alliance. So what do you think, the top leadership, do you think they want the alliance to happen? The BJP top leadership?
I'll tell you, having a cordial relationship between the Prime Minister and the Chief Minister is what it should be, Aarti. It is unfortunate that recently we don't find that. technically speaking, you should have a cordial relationship between the Prime Minister and the Chief Minister. In Indira Gandhi and uh, uh, the then uh, West Bengal Chief Minister, uh, Basu, I forget,
Jyoti Basu.
Jyoti Basu, I'm so sorry. This COVID has taken its toll on me in terms of memory. Jyoti Basu were the best of friends. They were having very cordial relationship. So, but that doesn't mean that they were not adversaries. So the fact remains that I think Narendra Modi making a call to Uddhav Thackeray, or Uddhav Thackeray receiving a call from Narendra Modi, or Uddhav Thackeray making a call to Narendra Modi doesn't change anything. I don't think those are factors to be penned down as strategic moves and strategic. I think those are small niceties that they try to show so that there is certain amount of cordial relationship that is maintained. Of course, in politics they say there is no permanent friends and no permanent enemies, and that remains. That remains, that there is no permanent friends and no permanent enemies. But what you need to understand in politics is, if there is an alliance, what does the alliance partner gain at this point in time? That's what you need to understand. When Shiv Sena tied up with NCP and Maharashtra and Congress, Maharashtra Congress, Shiv Sena gained the chair of the chief ministership. Shiv Sena proved a point that it can be the chief minister, it can lead the state to Bharatiya Janata Party, their 25-year-old alliance. They proved a point. So there was something to gain in this alliance. When NCP tied up with Congress, there was something to gain in the alliance, is because Pawar realized, and so did Congress realize, that they cannot stand on their own and rule this state. They can never get enough numbers to rule the state. So they came together. So that alliance had a reason to be. I am still trying to figure out what is the reason of Bharatiya Janata Party and Shiv Sena coming back now. Is it for the chief ministerial chair? Shiv Sena already has a chief ministerial chair. Do you think Shiv Sena thinks that if they go with Bharatiya Janata Party, they will it will be easier governing the state than what it is currently? I'm sure Uddhav Thackeray knows it better. Okay, now the circumstantial possibilities. That, like I said, let's keep that aside. That is something that one wouldn't want to comment on.
All right. We talked about this from Shiv Sena's perspective. Why would Shiv Sena go and join hands with BJP? But let us also look at it from BJP's perspective as well. Do you think will BJP be open to an alliance from Shiv Sena, especially now?
See, BJP would be. BJP would be, because they'll be winning back the state. See, losing Maharashtra was a big setback for BJP. There is no question about it. And especially now, when there are setbacks after setbacks. See, after a West Bengal loss, again, however it is, a gain of Maharashtra would be a good news for BJP. It'll rejuvenate their rank and files. Okay, there will be something good before the Uttar Pradesh elections, and Uttar Pradesh elections, as on today, is not looking very good for Bharatiya Janata Party. So yeah, I mean, for Bharatiya Janata Party, there is a lot to gain. But will it be at the cost of handing over the chief minister's chair to Shiv Sena? That I don't know. That I don't know whether it will be strategically correct on Bharatiya Janata Party's part, and whether Bharatiya Janata Party will accept it. So that's from Bharatiya Janata Party perspective, Aarti.
Alright, after this letter came out, the MVA leaders rushed into news channels and said that this alliance is going to last for 5 years. They have been saying it since the alliance was formed in 2019, and now also they are saying that there is no threat to the alliance. But you see, there are internal bickering happening between, earlier it was happening between NCP and Shiv Sena, that some legislators, some corporators from one party, from NCP went to Shiv Sena, from Shiv Sena went to NCP, in smaller council, district council, etc. And now we have Congress bickering with the Shiv Sena party. They are saying that we will go alone in the BMC elections. So all this is also happening in MVA. So how stable is MVA government looking at this point of time?
See, let me tell you. Take any states, Aarti. Take Bihar. Are there no bickerings between BJP and JDU? Let's go to Punjab. Were there no bickerings between BJP and Shiromani Akali Dal? Are there no bickerings happening in any state, if you go to see, any state where there are more than one parties, there are bickerings. Okay, so let that be as is. As far as Maharashtra is concerned, Maharashtra has seen this bickering, aaj tutega, kal tutega, not for now, for the last 20 years. Okay, weren't there bickerings when Bharatiya Janata Party and Shiv Sena was in power? Remember those rallies that Uddhav Thackeray used to say, and our team used to run with the camera saying that "Aaj government tutega." Remember those days? Yeah. So those we all saw it, didn't we? We all were thinking that today he may announce something, tomorrow he may announce something. So this bickering is nothing new. So I don't know why we are giving this. We may not you and I, but I'm saying generally in the media and others are giving this extra impetus. This bickering has been there, and it will continue to be there. Sardesai, if he feels what he feels, then that is what he wrote. And he wrote because he is being raided, his family is being raided, that is a fact. Now, he will obviously want to kind of get himself out of this mess. So, he has written. Now, I wonder why it got leaked. Who leaked it? Who leaked this kind of letter? Okay, and what was the intention of leaking this kind of letter? Was the intention from Sardesai that that BJP should know that he is advocating for BJP? Was that the intention? So that BJP goes easy on him, or was it leaked from the Shiv Sena part where it was leaked from the CMO's office or whoever the Matoshri to show that, listen, you know what, these are the kind of requests that we are getting. Who leaked this letter, and secondly, how much impetus this letter will be given? One has to wait and watch. Like I said before, from a strategic point of view, I don't think this letter will be given much of impetus. But from a circumstantial point of view, well, let us wait and watch.
All right. Well, but this does give a lot of fodder to the speculation as well. A lot of fodder to the speculation that might be in the future these two parties, these parties were in alliance since last 25 years and then they broke off on a very bad note. And now they will be coming together. So there will be some speculations. But let's move from this speculation and we'll also talk about the other interesting development that is happening in Maharashtra politics. Tomorrow, Sharad Pawar has called for an opposition meeting. 18 opposition parties have been called for an opposition meeting. What do you think? What does this indicate?
See, this indicates that NCP is not going to join BJP. This indicates very clearly because, like I said, then when there were rumors that Pawar is going to take over UPA head and all that, I'm as well UPA head. I'm very clear. Sharad Pawar is one person who is very clear on his goal. This Rashtriya, what is that called? Rashtriya
Rashtramanch.
Rashtra Manch, sorry, it is called Rashtra Manch by this new alliance. Rashtra Manch, the objective is very, very clear, and the objective is 2024. And if Mr. Sharad Pawar is attending that meeting, and this is the second meeting that is happening in the last 20 days, which means Mr. Pawar is very, very serious. Mr. Pawar doesn't attend meeting for fun. There is no meeting for lark in Mr. Pawar's dictionary. Please understand, every meeting or every session or every word that Mr. Pawar says has a meaning to it. Okay, so I want to believe that if he is meeting the second time tomorrow, he is very serious about this Rashtriya Manch. Now, if he is serious about Rashtriya Manch, which means he is seeing a future for Rashtriya Manch. Okay, whether it is right, whether it is wrong, that's a different issue. But he is seeing a future for Rashtriya Manch. Now, the only point I want to make about Rashtriya Manch, tomorrow's meeting, is connecting to your current topic, Aarti, is that this Rashtriya Manch should see a Shiv Sena participation. This Rashtriya Manch should definitely see a Shiv Sena participation. If this Rashtriya Manch does not see a Shiv Sena participation, if not tomorrow, day after, if not day after, next meeting, next to next meeting, whenever meeting, if they do not see a Shiv Sena participation, then you are pushing Shiv Sena into the arms of Bharatiya Janata Party in the future. Okay, so the fact remains that I would want to believe that Rashtriya Manch and Prashant Kishore strategized for Shiv Sena. So I am sure he has his links with Shiv Sena. I am sure he has his relationship with Shiv Sena. That is one thing that may have a problem in the future, the Rashtriya Manch. But apart from that, I don't see any other problem. The fact that Congress is not attending tomorrow, I think Congress is playing the wait and watch game. Sharad Pawar has enough clout with Mrs. Sonia Gandhi to get Congress participating. Sharad Pawar's words are taken very, very seriously in the Congress top circles. So I'm sure Sharad Pawar will be able to convince Congress. Sharad Pawar must have not got enough time, or Sharad Pawar also must be waiting and watching as to what is the next step. So the fact remains that Congress, I think, will join the Rashtramanch, if not today, tomorrow, unless and until there is another strategy that they are planning, which I don't think there is.
All right. In case if the Congress does not participate and Congress stays away from this opposition alliance, what do you think? Is there a possibility of third alliance that we have earlier seen in the country?
I believe that if Congress doesn't participate, it is bad both for the Rashtriya Manch and the Congress. It is bad for both. I think that will be a stupid decision for both parties, because you see, all said and done, Congress garnered 12 crore votes in 2019. Okay, 12 crore votes is 12 crore votes, and those 12 crore votes can make a difference. So the fact remains that if Rashtramanch is not, it doesn't have Congress as a part of it, it is bad for both Rashtramanch and Congress. I think with the kind of strategic inputs that Prashant Kishore can give, I am sure he will convince people to ensure that Congress is part of the munch, and that's what I think it will be.
As I said, if at all there is a third front and the Congress does not participate, it is unfortunate for the Congress party. But without Congress, if they go forward, who do you think they will propose for the prime ministerial post? We have already spoken about Mamata Banerjee as the prime ministerial candidate. Do you think the opposition parties will agree to Mamata Banerjee as a prime ministerial candidate for 2024?
Aarti, this is too much of a hypothetical guess, because I think we will just be guessing. I don't think prime ministerial to bahut dur ki baat hai. First, I think they should get together. First, I think they should bond together. First, I think they should have a common minimum program together. First, I think they should have a manifesto together. Manifesto bhi bahut dur ki baat hai, but all the same, they should work towards a manifesto. They should plan a campaign together. Okay, a strong campaign that should be planned together. They should create a brand out of this Rashtramanch, and it should not be just, you know, like the third front of Deve Gowda and VP Singh and others के इधर से थोड़ा लिया सब 4-5 जन को साथ में बिठा के एक गाड़ी बना के that should not be the case. I'm sure it should be planned well together. Like again and again I'm saying, since it's being done by Prashant Kishore, I want to believe he will use his branding, his strategic abilities to ensure that a brand is created of Rashtramanch rather than just a jugaad, as we say. That's my point number one. Point number two is prime ministerial candidate could be from within the party or without the party. It could be somebody who is completely an outsider who has been made into a prime minister as a consensus candidate. And I think that is more likely. This is my view. That could be right, wrong otherwise. But I think that is what should be happening, because prime minister is an administrator, Aarti. He or she is an administrator. You need a good administrator to be a prime minister, not a person who can give good speeches, not a person who can do good events, not a person who know how to sway the crowd. That's not a prime minister's job. That should not be the only job that the prime minister does. Rather, correcting myself, the prime minister is a person who can run the country, who is a fantastic administrator, who can manage the economy of this country, which is now in the doldrums, who can resurrect this country back after the pandemic. So prime minister has a larger role to play. So I think India needs, while you need a popular leader at one end, but you also need a strong, administratively, economically sound prime minister, and that's very important.
Well, we have to wait and watch what happens tomorrow, because the opposition parties will be meeting. It will be very interesting to see what the outcome of the meeting will be, whether there will be an alliance of these opposition parties, because similar attempt was made in 2019 as well, but it did not result into anything concrete. But we will see what exactly will happen after tomorrow's meeting.
Aarti, before I end, there is one more thing I wanted to make clear about coming back to Maharashtra and talking about Congress trying to, making statements, sound bites that, we will go alone, we will. You see, that soundbite was relevant. That soundbite was relevant till such time that there was this feeling about NCP, Shiv Sena and Bharatiya Janata Party getting together. Remember a few weeks back, that was the feeling. NCP, Shiv Sena and Bharatiya Janata Party getting together. In a scenario like that, where NCP's Bharatiya Janata Party and Shiv Sena gets together, then Congress coming and saying that I will go alone in the elections would have made tremendous amount of tremendous amount of sense. Sense, because what would have then happened is the entire anti-Bharatiya Janata Party vote would have gone to Congress. So Congress would have restructured itself, resurrected itself in Maharashtra. So when Patole was talking about I want to stand alone, it would make sense if Bharatiya Janata Party, NCP and Shiv Sena comes together. Then it would make sense, because that would be the golden opportunity for Congress to resurrect itself in Maharashtra. Otherwise, today saying that I will go alone and I will fight election alone and all, I think is absolutely foolhardy. They will stand nowhere because they have done nothing in the last 3 years, 1 year, 1.5 year, isn't it? 1 year over,
From
right?
2019 till now, yes.
2019, they have done nothing spectacular in Maharashtra that Congress resurrected itself, or Congress has done something. Nothing they have done. So just by circumstances, they say that theek hai yaar, I'm going to stand alone, will not make sense. So that was one thing that I wanted to add it about Maharashtra.
Okay, before we end, so we have a lot of comments from our viewers as well. We will just pick 5 of them and we will just respond to their comments. Mr. Gautam Kandarajan has said that if Shiv Sena goes back to the BJP, it will end its political influence in India.
See, first of all, Shiv Sena didn't have political influence in India. Secondly, we all believe that Shiv Sena going back to Bharatiya Janata Party now will pull them down. Will pull them down in terms of stature, because they had fought with these guys. They pulled them down in terms of their own voters, and also the circumstances in which they will go back. They will are they going to be taken in as equals, or will there be a BJP chief minister? These are things which are going to play a very, very vital role, Aarti, on how people view Shiv Sena if they go back to BJP.
Mr. Reality Bites, that was his name is on YouTube, says that breakup in Mahavikas Aghadi will be disaster for non-BJP parties.
No, correct. So like I said, breakup in Mahavikas Aghadi, to my mind, like I said, I put those two things, circumstantially and strategically. Strategically, I don't think there will be a breakup that's happening. And of course, yeah, it will be a very bad thing if they break up, and if Bharatiya Janata Party, Bharatiya Janata Party that will be a fantastic win, as in a fantastic achievement for Bharatiya Janata Party if they come back in Maharashtra before the Uttar Pradesh election. It will give them a huge boost. Maybe not as much as the down they went after the West Bengal election, but it will still give them a good boost to the upcoming Uttar Pradesh elections. Yes.
All right. There was this one interesting narrative that came about after the formation of MVA alliance, where earlier we had this talk about one party getting the majority. We saw in 2014, in 2019, BJP won with a massive mandate. But with the emergence of MVA, there was this feeling among the opposition parties that this kind of alliance could be formed and there could be an alternative to NDA. Now, there is one interesting take by Mr. Ramakrishna Shastri. He says that nation requires alternative political narrative as a viable option against the NDA. So, in a way, a lot of people feel that survival of MVA is also necessary for a credible alternative to the NDA. What do you think?
Yeah, see, survival of any coalition is a good alternative for NDA. Tomorrow, what is happening, that Rashtriya Manch is also a good option for NDA. The point that I'm trying to make is MVA and others like MVA has to last. I completely agree to what the gentleman said. It has to last so that it gives a lesson to the other parties across the country that you can come together and you can combat the might of Bharatiya Janata Party or the might of NDA in 2024. See, the point is, Aarti, political parties, especially regional political parties, are still bickering. They have still not realized that the kind of what they will lose if they don't see a larger picture, and that's a very unfortunate part. Regional parties are still very myopic. They're still focused on their region. They're not looking at a national scenario, even today. So the fact remains that, if Mahavikas Aghadi breaks in Maharashtra, it will be another regional party looking at their internal problem, their regional problem, their own bickerings and breaking up. So that is not a good indication that is not a good message sent to the rest of the country. Somewhere down the line, if you looking at 2024, one has to look at it from a national perspective, and this internal bickering of regional parties has to go, because unless and until these regional parties come together, there is no way that anybody can touch the power of NDA. No way.
Hmm. Hmm. All right. There is one very interesting question from Mr. Abhiram Gudwalli. I hope I have pronounced his surname right. He says, where do you think YSRCP or TDP stand if Prashant Kishore coalition sees the light? Because it is well known that YSRCP was helped by Prashant Kishore, and TDP, of course, is a part of the opposition
T-
parties now. YSRCP is
TDP,
also not, the partner of NDA.
see, I'll tell you, TDP definitely will be part of the Rashtriya Manch. I think that will happen even tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. So TDP, I have no doubt. TDP has fabulous relationship with Sharad Pawar. Chandrababu Naidu and Sharad Pawar are very close friends, and also somebody who have a lot of mutual respect for each other, is what I learned. Uh, YSRP would be a very interesting, like you said, yeah, you rightly said, it's an interesting question. YSRP, where he stands, is something that we need to see. Now, YSRP it also depends on how much support the government, the central government, gives YSRP's Telangana in the next 2 years or next 3 years. Okay, and how much support that the central government can offer them. So YSRP is still something that we need to kind of wait and watch. But let's see where it goes.
Definitely. YSRCP from Andhra Pradesh and also Biju
Sorry,
Patnaik's,
Andhra Pradesh. My
yeah.
apologies. Andhra
Biju
Pradesh.
Patnaik's BJD will also be one very interesting party to look into, because BJD is also not in the alliance, and not in the alliance with the BJP in the NDA, or nor is it in alliance with the opposition parties as well. So it will be very interesting to see where these two parties stand, and also the Janata Dal Secular,
And
although it has
and
been in YSRCP.
YSRC also, one need to understand that there is going to be a lot of a lot of his decision will also depend on circumstantial factors, which, like I said before, on CBI and other central agencies. So his decision will depend on that too. Sorry, I
Correct.
forgot to say that. I just wanted to.
Correct. One last question. Uh,
Please.
can Shiv Sena make an impact in the coming Lok Sabha elections in 2024? That's a question by Mr. Sahil Kant.
If see, Shiv Sena is a party, Aarti, good, bad, ugly. Shiv Sena is a party in Maharashtra that has percolated down to the lowest common denominator. Shiv Sena is in existence in any and every smallest of small village in Maharashtra. Shiv Sena has a shaka, Shiv Sena has a few members. So Shiv Sena is a party that is actually on ground. So Shiv Sena in Maharashtra will always remain relevant. You can't make Shiv Sena irrelevant. You can make Shiv Sena powerful and not powerful. That's a different issue. They can get more seats or they can get less seats. There's no difference. But Shiv Sena being irrelevant, that will never happen in Maharashtra. That's number one. Now, what depends is in Lok Sabha 2024, it depends on where Shiv Sena stands. If Shiv Sena stands with Bharatiya Janata Party, then Shiv Sena will be another add-on player for Bharatiya Janata Party, because nationally people will vote for Modi, not for Uddhav Thackeray. You see, but if Shiv Sena stands with Mahavikas Aghadi, then Shiv Sena will play a larger role in terms of garnering of vote, is because Shiv Sainiks will vote for whoever Shiv Sena points their finger to. So if Shiv Sena says vote for Mamata Banerjee, they will vote for Mamata Banerjee. Shiv Sena says Mamata Banerjee is going to be our Prime Minister, so the Shiv Sainiks, the Shiv Sena followers will come and vote for. Are you getting what I am trying to say?
Yes.
See, so the influence of Shiv Sena will be more evident in MBK, if they are part of MBK in 2024, than if they are part of Bharatiya Janata Party. So Bharatiya Janata Party, they will be anyway eclipsed, because their ideologies are the same. They've been working together for a long time, so they will be eclipsed. But MBK, they will stand out, because that voter base will be very important. It will be add-on voter base to the NCP Congress traditional voter base. Shiv Sena voter base will be an add-on voter base for from the traditional.
Well, as you rightly said, we come to the end of the show, and I guess the bottom line of this entire discussion is we don't know circumstantially where would Shiv Sena stand, but as of now, the MVA looks very stable. But it will be also very interesting to see what will happen tomorrow when the opposition parties meet, who will attend the opposition parties meet. That also will be very interesting to see, and what will be the conclusion of that meeting. Will there be a way forward? Will there be a larger opposition alliance? Will there be a third party? Will Congress participate? These are the questions we need to look into if we tomorrow get to see the opposition alliance meeting. Thank you so much for joining in this live. Do stay tuned to HW News.